Welcome to Seeing Scarlet. It is Shelby here with Tyler. I am back in Lubbock, Texas after being in Baton Rouge the last however many days, the last week. Drove all night, got back in the wee hours this morning on Monday. We're recording Monday night. So we're going to talk all about the Lady Raiders in Baton Rouge. Obviously, they lost to LSU. We'll break that down a little bit, talk about the season. We have clips from the team. You saw a clip from Krista Gerlich to open up the show talking about the team as a whole. That kind of covers the season as it is. So we'll break down it from our perspective. Tell our thank yous to the team because we are very grateful for what y'all did and the impact you made. Maybe share some favorite moments, and then we'll get into what they need to do to sustain this and to get the roster right for next year because they do lose 9 seniors. It's a whole new team. Jalen Bristow, 6 freshmen, and a lot of new faces that are becoming in the transfer portal, and of course Stephanie Okachukwu, that's still hanging around at 7'1". We'll see where that goes. Is here as well, and Gerlich talked about her in the post-game presser, so she still seems to see her as being a factor next year or in the future years. And then Gerlich also very openly talked about needing more support for this program NIL-wise, and she's not wrong. I'll show the clip in a minute, but let's be frank. If you want this team to compete with the likes of LSU, you saw the gap. Is it a 50-point gap? No. We just kind of lost ourselves at the end. We showed what we could do in the beginning of that game, and then we kind of got away from us, and then it just snowballed, and it is what it is against those teams. I posted a little graph on my social media if you want to go look at it, and it's LSU, UConn, UCLA, South Carolina, and whoever else in Texas, all like up here, and everybody else is like way down the graph, all in a group. If you play any of those people, you beat Iowa. I think you hang with Duke. Michigan, maybe. That would have been tough, but you could have hung with them. Obviously, you've hung with TCU and these other people. You've beaten them that are in that same pack. So it was just a tough draw. We knew that going into it. You were going to have to play your best, and LSU was going to have to play poorly. They didn't. But if you want to be a team that just is like them and they have WNBA superstars all over their team, you have to invest. And you'll hear a clip from Gerlich that breaks that down, but that's the truth. And it's not whining. She wasn't complaining. She was asked verbatim, how do you compete for a national championship? And she said, in this day and age, we're going to need more investment to get there. But bare minimum, to keep competing, they're just going to have to keep bringing in the right players. And we'll get into what kind of players maybe they need briefly. And we'll break down the portal. It doesn't start until April 6th this year, technically, but it's kind of already starting. And we've heard name. We'll talk a little bit about that, but we'll do episodes on that as it comes. Y'all know that's kind of what most of y'all know as far as all the portal stuff y'all come for all the sports. It's portal season. We'll be here to do that as well. Whew. So that's the intro. Like, subscribe, follow if you want all that, because those episodes just come randomly. Like, we don't have like the Monday, Thursday set up when it comes to that, because they could announce it Saturday at 9 a.m. Some of these kids, they don't care about the media cycle, so those episodes will come out when they come out. So make sure you're following. Before all of that, Tyler, LSU obviously lost the game 101-47. Kind of touched on it just a second ago. We really did hang around the first quarter. I was proud of them for fighting back. Got down 10-0, and then we outscored them 14-9 the rest of that quarter. Bailey Maupin had 11 of those points. I thought Bailey Maupin really was not afraid of the moment. She stepped up to the stage and did her thing and showed that she belonged, and maybe she'll get a camp invite to the WNBA for that. I mean, I'd love to see her get drafted, but at least a camp invite feels fair. She traded step back threes at one point with Flau'jae Johnson. Like, that's pretty legit. Like, to go out that, like, step back three from Flau'jae, and then Bailey went back down and was like, I can do that too. Step back three from Bailey. I was like, all right. Like, that's what you're going to have to do to hang with LSU. We said that you're going to have to hit shots, because if you don't hit shots against LSU, you can't set up your defense. And not necessarily the press. I don't think our press worked one time. I don't think we expected it to work, though. Like, we just couldn't even set up our half-court defense because they were getting the rebound and going. And so it became this game of transition, or it became a game of us backpedaling, and maybe it's not they're getting to the rim on transition, but they're getting that easy. Their whole offense is like high ball screens, and then they just read and react. It's pretty simple as they described it in their press conferences, and Gerlich said the same thing. It's the truth. We kind of talked about that in the preview. They're very fundamentally sound. They can pass it well. They just play basketball. They're hoopers. They just play really well, and they just play off each other. And so they'd get the rebound. We couldn't even get set up, and they'd do that high ball screen, and then they'd go and they'd find an open look, and we'd have a hand in their face, and they'd make it sometimes, But when we were trading buckets, we forced them to slow down just a little bit, and that's when it was a 19-14 first quarter. And then we started the second quarter they had a 12-0 run to start the second quarter. I thought Danae wasn't afraid of the moment either. She was taking shots. She hit a three to stop that briefly, and then they went on another run. It just slowly just got more out of hand, and the third quarter was like nail in the coffin stuff. They were that arena. I mean, aspirational stuff. That's what the USA used to be. That's what they have there now. It was a great atmosphere, and it feels a little fitting to not to skirt off, but Kim Mulkey told a story in her press conference the day before when we were in there and we asked her about it, kind of Lubbock and Texas Tech and stuff, and she said, "Well, it's funny because her first game in the Big 12 was against Texas Tech, just like Krista Gerlich's first game in the Big 12 was against Baylor. Well, when she played at Texas Tech, that was back. Marsha Sharp's there, were dominant, and she said she walked in the USA and was like, "This is like insane. Like I can't." Like to be, like, it was packed the whole thing, and she's like, "I want this at Baylor." Like Texas Tech was what she wanted Baylor to become when she took over Baylor, and then it did become that, and then she did the same thing at LSU, right? So for the context, it's kind of crazy, and now now we're like that, and we go to their stadium in LSU, and it's like, damn, I wish we could have this again, right? And so it was kind of just this weird irony and meta experience for me, just hearing those stories and then being there. But the atmosphere was good. I don't know if the atmosphere bothered us too much. You would have to ask them. I know people watching on TV said that we looked scared and stuff. I don't know. I didn't really see us looking too scared in person. I just thought we were outmatched. And there's not really any shame in that. Like, the roster construction is very different here, both money wise and talent. I just thought we couldn't get good looks, open looks. There was a couple players that were playing pretty soft and they got taken out pretty quick. You even saw maybe Sanogo get some run, just trying to get some toughness out there. So, but I thought Danae Fritz showed up. I thought Hema Nunez showed up. She made her first bucket of the game. She was taking shots. I mean, she just had a tough assignment. I mean, they're bigger than her, longer than her, picking her pocket sometimes, but I thought she held her own. Bailey obviously showed up. It's unfortunate Sonoda couldn't get a shot to fall earlier. I think maybe that would have helped us keep it closer going into halftime and given us more confidence. Bailey just needed another tough bucket getter on the court with her in that game, and Sonoda couldn't get there until the fourth quarter. As soon as she saw one fall, then she couldn't miss. That's who she is. But we needed that earlier in the game, and it just didn't happen. And Bailey you could see Bailey's legs were dead in the second half. She had 16 in the first half, and then she was exhausted. But I thought they fought to the end. They were taking charges late into the game. Adley got in there. Everybody played, I think, except for Julie. I think she was going to go in briefly, and then they decided to send another senior out there since she's only a junior. But we don't really need to break it down too much more than that. LSU's just really good at basketball. We were going to have to play our best basketball game ever. We were going to not have to turn it over. We turned it over way too many times. They were forced. Sometimes, like, credit LSU, they were picking our pocket a lot of those times, but sometimes travels and stuff just could have been better. You were going to have to play your perfect game, kind of like you did against Baylor at home when you murdered Baylor to then maybe beat LSU by like one. Like, it was going to have to be that kind of stuff, and we just didn't do it, to be frank. And it is what it is, and LSU does what LSU does. They hold the record, the NCAA record for 100-point games in a season. This year was their 16th. They're pretty good at basketball. They were fun to watch, and I didn't like that they were fun to watch. But all respect to our team. They fought to the end, and the Villanova game, we'll talk more about that. We kind of already summarized it in the previous episode, but that's my favorite moment of the season, so maybe we'll talk about that again there. But yeah, no shame in going out the way they did either. We have some clips and stuff we'll show you, but that's kind of my takeaway is they're just better. They're just better than we are at this point in our journey, and they should be. They're a national championship contender. I think they could win the whole thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think LSU. I mean, I in fact have LSU in my championship game prediction bracket, and it's just there's just a real big like talent like gap right now in women's basketball, and then if you pull up that chart, I mean, you can clearly see. I mean, and right now we're even looking at teams like Oregon. USC today. I mean, all of these teams are getting like 30 pieced, and like these are all great basketball teams. The Syracuse team today. I mean, shout out to them for making our loss a little bit less bad in a sense. But they got absolutely ran out of the gym, and even the coach was saying like, I mean, like, yeah, it's just not a fun draw. I mean, it's some there's some instances where maybe there was underseeding or overseeding, but it's just like there's just such a large gap that there's really not much you can really do at that point. You had a good team. So for those people that are saying, "Oh, well, are we even good?" or this and that, I'm just like it's kind of ridiculous to just say that because we're a good team. We competed with some of the top teams in the country, but those five that are running the whole show right now,
Yeah.
insane. But
Yeah.
yeah, look at that. UConn, Texas, South Carolina, LSU, UCLA, Vanderbilt on their own little island, and then
Yeah,
you
they're
have
just
like
not as good
TCU.
defensively. I would have even taken. I mean, Vanderbilt did work today against whoever they were playing to, I think, but they're not as good defensively, so it's not as drastic. But offensively, they're still out there by themselves. So
It's just crazy. And I mean, even when you looked at our game based on like, Torvik like ratings or whatever for that, I would have thought that our defense would have maybe reached like a 100 rating, but it was a 90.7, which honestly we've had worse defensive games, believe it or not. I mean, it was bad. The LSU game was very, very bad, but it's just like there's just so much talent on LSU. Like we've always talked about this. You can play your best basketball game and still lose by 30 points, but again, have a nut, like, have decent stats. And this one, our shots just weren't falling really, and we weren't able to get anything in the paint. I think at one point in the game, Bailey had that long 2 point shot, and that was our only 2 point shot that we had in the first half. We were only living and dying by the 3 point line, and eventually we died, especially in the second quarter. And then like we had 0 paint points and they had like 28, and then the turnovers scored like 19 points off of turnovers. So I mean, I knew that like, we weren't going to be able to maybe keep up in a track meet with them, but I do appreciate the fight, especially from Bailey. I mean, Bailey really did come to play right off the bat, and I mean that's all. I mean, you have to give her flowers for that. She was literally the one that was keeping up with LSU and was trying her best, went all out in her last game. And then yeah, it just seemed like for everybody else, we were just really struggling just to just make shots. I mean, you love to see Danae taking 11 shots, but yet only three of them were able to go in. Bailey took 20 shots. I mean, Snudda took 13. I mean, you look at all this and it's just like, we actually took more shot attempts than LSU did, but we also shot 25%. So that just shows how good their defense is. But other than that, I
yeah,
mean, there's nothing that they can really hang their hat on. I mean, there's really nothing to hang your hat on. It's just the talent gap. And then, yeah, as Coach Gerlich said, and the segment we'll get into later, I mean, if this irritates you or makes you mad, then I mean, step up. And if you have the funds and the money, like donate. I mean, even a $25 donation can get us like 126 of the top player in the portal right now. Like, just support this program, do something. We always talk about there's this new standard. Coach Grote talks about that. You don't want to go back to what it was before, right? This is now the foundation. This is now the standard. So now we have to continuously get to the NCAA tournament. Now we need to talk about going deeper into it. And I think that's what this game kind of took away. Like, great season, but also there's a lot that we need to still catch up on.
yeah. And I think it also is a good lesson for like missed opportunities, right? This team, nothing to regret as far as what they did this season because of what they accomplished. But if it's a learning lesson for the one returner on the team, Jalen, that she can hammer home with them next year is when they're in these games that are close games, or they're in these games that they're favorited in late in the year, and there's aren't the big games. They beat all the top teams, right? They lost to some other teams. Some of them were in the tournament, but you still had a chance to beat them, right? You lose that one to Kansas State to open the Big 12 tournament. Even if you win that game, you probably avoid LSU until like the third round. So there are learning lessons if we're just being honest, like hard truths about that. Is maybe you avoid LSU if you don't drop some games you shouldn't have. And that's a part of building a winning culture and things that you learn and that you pass down from group to group. And this next group is just Jalen, as we'll talk about in a minute with new people. But yeah, first, I just want to say a thank you to the team. I know we've done that many a times, but obviously Bailey Maupin, legend. Like she'll get her own little section of this as she should. 4-year player. You know, I've talked about it in some places, but just openly on here, I don't think I've ever said it. But the girl was offered $500K, is what I was told from some SEC schools, and she turned it down to stay at Texas Tech. I don't think she's getting that at Texas Tech to speak on the NIL stuff. So she turned down life changing money. I hope she's getting something up there, somewhere near that. I hope she's getting some good money. She deserves it, but she's not getting that. And she turned it down to stay here to finish what she started, and she did that. Not a lot of people get to do that. You know, some people might stay and try, and they don't get to do it. She stayed and did it. So she's a legend. She'll be in the ring. Should be in the Ring of Honor. Fourth all-time leading scorer. She's She'll definitely be in the Texas Tech Hall of Fame, Athletic Hall of Fame. She'll be around the program for as much as she wants to be. She said afterwards she thinks in 5 years, she'll be watching them on TV in the third and the fourth round of the national championship, she said. And Gerlich said after she had left, she's like, that girl won't be watching on TV. She'll be front and center at the stadium if we're in the national championship, which is true. So all kudos to Bailey. I've always appreciated her and how she handles just like us, even just covering her and stuff, the media. She's a treat. I really loved the LSU media getting to know her. She walked out of one of the pre-press conferences, and the guy behind me tapped me on the shoulder and said, "That girl is so articulate." And I was like, "Bailey?" And he was like, "Yeah." Like, it just seems like a really intelligent young lady. And I was like, "Oh yeah. Bailey's great." I was like, "I don't know if she wants to do the media or not, but she's always great at it." So I was like, "She'll give you a thesis like dissertation every time she's in here. She's awesome." So yeah, she's great ambassador for the program, and she did that this weekend. Even just like in moments like that, like people learned about Texas Tech because of how she speaks about Texas Tech in those moments, and she'll continue to do that. So thank you, Bailey Maupin. Thank you, Danae Fritz. I asked Gerlich about her and Danae after the game. We didn't get to talk to Danae. I would have talked to every single player if they wanted to after that and give them their shine and give them a chance to say their goodbyes and stuff, but it's not how it works. You get sent two players in Snowda. So we got to hear from Bailey and Snowda. You can go watch that press conference. It's great stuff from both of them. But she wasn't in there, so I wanted to let Gerlich kind of like speak on her behalf. And she said, yeah, Bailey and Danae carried the standard for this team. She said I thought it was cool for her to talk about. So we didn't always have the best relationship, those two. Both of those players that they've butted heads over their careers here. Bailey's 4 years and even Danae's couple of years. And she said that's just because of who they are. But she's like, we'll go to war with each other now. Like, those are the type of players that I want on my program. They're kind of the salt of the earth types, and that they really set the standard for this team, and they upheld the standard, and they didn't let people make excuses, and they didn't let themselves make excuses, and from the jump with transfers and all the things. And we've heard the story about her, Danae, like first day of practice with the transfers, someone was like standing on the sidelines crossing their arms and stuff, and she's like, we don't do that here. Like, it's just small things like that that may sound silly, but if you don't have people doing that, it's not a winning program. And so to have her upholding that, Bailey doing the same, I think was kind of where it started for this team. And that's kind of my biggest worry for next year's team, is who's going to do that. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But those two, and then every single one of the seniors that came here, Tyler, they didn't have to come here. Snowda Collins just posted this great post on Instagram. Go read the whole thing.
So good.
About how this changed her life, and it ended up being the year and the healing process that she didn't even know she needed to heal in some ways that she did at Texas Tech. And that's what's so great about the transfer portal, is it gives players like her that fell out of love with basketball a chance to kind of reclaim that. You know, Danae Fritz had a similar journey here as well. She'd probably have a similar thing to say if she was given the opportunity. Snowda did that. Jada Malone came here for her final year. She could have gone anywhere. She was massive moments. She helped us win the Villanova game. We wouldn't have made it to that second round game without her. Sydney Love battled through migraines. I know that was a scary thing for her all season, but she kept fighting through it so she could be available for her team late in the year when we needed her. Gemma Nunez was the freaking point guard that we've been searching for 5 years, maybe decades, but with Gerlich, for her entire career, she's been looking for just a true point guard that could steady things. And she did that. She's the most impactful player on the team when you look at metrics, for people that care about that stuff, that really measures that, when you really know who matters and made the biggest impact on this team. She's up there with that. You know, obviously Sarah and Mimi Sonogo. Sarah's been here for 2 years. Sarah had a massive block to start that game against LSU. I was like, all right, Sarah's not afraid. She could have made a layup early, but we won't talk about that. She might have, maybe that changes the whole game, Tyler. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. But she blocked. She wasn't afraid. She kept battling. Love to see Mimi get in there as well in that game, bring some toughness. She's never afraid. We interviewed them. You catch that a few episodes back. And of course, Adley Blacklock. Like, I mean, just ultimate vibes queen. Always. Like, you can't say enough about Adley. Like, she's an ultimate team player, never complains. She got to play in this game, took a shot, thought it was going to go in, and I was going to lose my mind. I was like, that's Adley Blacklock, come in and shoot it. So, am I forgetting one of the seniors? I feel like I named them all, but
I think you got everybody.
I got all of them. And then, of course, Jalen Bristow will be back, so we'll talk about her more in a minute. But just what this team did for this program and this university, and for them to stay and to come here when they didn't have to, I think is what I would say thank you to them for. is they didn't have to come here. They didn't have to stay here in the case of Bailey Maupin. They could have gone anywhere. They didn't have to come here and go through the hard and listen to the doubters and try to climb out of a hole while people are literally shoveling dirt back on them. They could have gone somewhere where that was already set, and they didn't do that. They wanted to do that here. And maybe some of them needed Texas Tech as much as we needed them, but other of them had plenty of opportunities, and they chose this university, and they fell in love with this university. And a good handful of them are going to stay in Lubbock and live in Lubbock because they love the community so much now. And I just think that's really cool and says a lot about the program and the coaching staff, and it gives you a lot of hope that, yeah, we are going to rebuild again, but we kind of rebuilt this year. Danae and Bailey were the only people that played last year, really. And so we did it last year. We're about to have to do it again with Jalen, and that's pretty much it. Returning that have played. So, yeah, I would just say thank you to them. A long-winded thank you. We could probably spend an hour just talking about them, and I think we've already done that in their senior show, but just wanted to do it again because it's been a cool season, and they did the damn thing.
Yeah, this group of 9 seniors really, I mean, laid the foundation and did some quite amazing things this year. And I think that's the coolest part is like they took a chance on Texas Tech and saw Krista's vision and what it could be. And they really, they listened to our incredible assistant coaching staff, right? They all fell into their positions and did it well. And a lot of them, came either with NCAA tournament experience or background, or some of them were just on the cusp of making it, like is in Hema, and Sydney and things, people like
Yeah.
that. Jada
They won
Malone,
a lot
even
of
because she
games in their
sat out
career.
with her injury. But yeah, they sat out a lot of games in their career. Snutta obviously came back and refound her love for basketball. So all of that being said, I mean, this group really, like, they fought hard all year. Again, we were picked to finish 13th. We ended up finishing tied for fourth in the Big 12. I mean, they did some absolutely amazing things and amazing milestones. Just a historic season to really get them on the map. And I think that's what I love most about it. Was like there was no drama with this team. We said dogs over divas. There was no, divas on the team that, were just all like
They
extra
did everything
flashy,
we
all the
asked.
things. Yeah, everything we asked. I mean, there
I'm
was
sure
like
that's why, but
not literally, there was not one time where we were like, oh, like, this player is being selfish or this player is just
mm-mm.
acting a fool. No, they just always were just stern faced the entire time. They always did their job. They were ready to work. They always put their best they always put their best out there on the court, and they just really looked after each other. And just to see, everyone evolve, see Bailey evolve all these 4 years, as you said, it's very hard in college basketball nowadays to have a player stay all 4 years. She's only the second player, I think, in like 6 years at the past 6 seasons at Texas Tech to have stayed all 4 years. So I think that's incredible stuff to see. And then, yeah, for Danae to come in and really take on a really leadership role this year, right? Last year she was really kind of like, getting her feet in the water, trying to figure out the culture of this team. And then this year, just being an absolute leader and coming out guns a blazing this year has been great to watch. And yeah, I'm interested to see what it will look like moving forward into next year, what it's going to look like building the team around Jalen. But again, as we've talked about with Bree, like we hope that these freshmen that are going to come in next year, and we hope Jalen and whoever else, Stephanie, I hope they see what this year really meant for this program and what these 9 seniors poured into it and how, that's the team culture that you want. And now let's just keep raising the standard and taking it up a notch.
Yeah, it's that. It's like you can't allow it to go backwards. And I think Jalen Bristow said it in a press conference, and I remember this right before at the selection show, it's like a week ago. She said when I asked her how she's personally gotten better, so much better this year, she said it's because of the seniors, because there's so many veterans on this team that in practice they don't allow you to go backwards. We only take 2 steps forward in practice. We may have a bad day, but the next day we're gonna have a better day or whatever. That is a winning culture. And that piece, if Jalen does nothing else, she has to carry that into the next group. Because we'll talk about this more, but the one thing that concerns me about this next year rebuild is the one thing that didn't concern me last year. I had a lot of questions about last year at this time last year. I didn't know who our staff was going to be. Were we going to make changes? Were we going to do this? Were we going to be able to attract enough talent to build around Jalen, Danae, and Bailey that were staying, Adley, Sarah? Were we going to be able to bring in enough talent to even have a roster that's worthy of playing in the Big 12 around those players? I had a lot of questions about that. But what I did not question, and I said it on the show, is you're going to have the 2 dogs on your team are going to be your captains, and Bailey and Danae. And I said, as long as you have that, That I'm confident in. And that is what played out. I said, you're just not going to have any drama on this team. You're not going to have any bullshit with this group. We said that in like May. We're like, that's one thing I'm confident in. I wasn't confident about the rest, who they're going to get, but I was confident in that. And that played out. And then the staff went and got talent. This year, I think there's going to be talent. And I've heard some names, some big names, and we'll talk about that if that happens. I don't think talent's necessarily going to be the problem. Maybe support, financial support to go and get that talent, but they're going to get big names on the phone. But who's going to lead them? It has to be Jalen Bristow plus people they bring in that are veterans with her, but she's the only one that's played. And so I'm excited for Jalen to get to do that. You know, she's been behind two really good leaders, and we need her to. She doesn't have to be the leading scorer or the star. I mean, I hope she is. That'd be awesome. But Danae Fritz was not the leading scorer on the team, but she was the leader of the team in a lot of ways, setting the standard in practice. When you ask anybody, it was her. Somebody has to do that. Maybe Julie, actually, I'm not even joking when I say that. Julie could probably help some there too. She's been in practice, but Jalen's going to be on the court. So I think that's my biggest concern when we get questions. And I'm like, really? I'm not super worried about the talent. I think they're going to go reload. I think they're going to bring talent in here, but someone has to set the standard. Because the people that set the standard last year are gone. And I don't think, if you don't have those people setting the standard on day one, things get a little, I don't think it goes as well. And then you have to have the right people. Because like Hima gave up going to Spain to stay here. Like that's leadership in its own right and things like that we've talked before. Snuda obviously did all the work on the summer while the team was in Germany on her own, individual work to get ready and get in shape. Like things like that, you're going to have the right people. We can talk about more in another episode, but if they get the right leadership and Jalen can kind of step into that role, I have faith that this staff's going to go get the right people. And you might ask, Tyler, who do they need? And how are they going to get that? Here's a clip from Gerlich we'll play. She's going to be honest about the LSU game. And I just want to again preface this because there's people that always like to be haters. She was directly asked before this clip was played, what do you need to do to become a national championship contender? So she answered it honestly. She was not asked, what do you need to do to compete and get in the tournament? Those are two different things. She was frank about the difference in our roster, NIL construction, and LSU's. And then at the end of this, which is very interesting, I'm sure to all y'all, she talks about what they're going to go get in the portal. She was honest about all the different positions. So enjoy this, and then we'll be back.
I mean, I'm just going to say it like it is. In this day and age, we got to have, we have to have more resources to be able to fund a team. I have no idea what LSU's cap is or what their total amount is for their team, but ours is probably an eighth of it, if that. We don't have any. I don't have $1 million player on my team, and that doesn't mean anything except that there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference in the level of talent, and we have to have that investment to be able to compete at that level. There's a big gap between probably 1 through 8, maybe 8, and 8 through 64. Like, there's a big gap. And I mean, you saw it today, right? I mean, we're a 7th seed, which had we won a few more games in our conference, we might have been up to a 4 seed. But if I remember correctly, a 4 seed in this conference lost by 40 to LSU just about a week ago. And so, there's more parity coming, but there's the upper echelon of the NCAA Division I women's basketball, and then there's the rest of us. And we have to be able to fund our program in the NIL space and the Rev Share space to be able to compete at the level to win championships. Yeah, we'll have to get some experience for sure. So clearly, I think we'll have to get a couple of wings that can and guards that can really score it and be some playmakers for us. Some experience in the paint. Obviously, we'll have Stephanie coming back, and we've got a great kid in Jada Kearney for some height, but we still need a little bit more experience in that area as well. And with a couple of injuries to our freshmen, we'll have to get a point guard as well, just to help Rober out a little bit because Gigi's is going to be delayed in her return.
There you go. Gigi being Gianna Jordan, she's one of the top 100 freshmen. It sounds like she has an injury, maybe delayed. I don't know if that means she'll play at all next year. Will start the season on the injured reserve or what they'll do there, but I hate that for her. I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing for the program. I think they were going to go get a veteran point guard anyway, and that, doesn't create as much of a logjam, perhaps, and it allows at least one of your freshmen to develop slower. But I'm sure she's going to want to get out there, and I hate anyone getting injured. But so since she's injured, that'll be Ambrosia Cole as Bro, the local product from Monterey. She goes by Bro. Another top 100 player as well will be a point guard for you. But I think we've learned our lesson trying to go from a really senior-led team, that Bree Scott team, and then we handed the reins to Bailey and Jazz and Kyla and all them, and that was a lot to ask of them. And I think maybe they've learned from that, and they're not gonna. They want to steady the success. So it sounds like they're gonna go get veterans at every position. She named off every position you can have there. Experience in the paint, wings, and guards. That's everybody, and a point guard. So if you're a talented player, they're gonna go get one. We've talked about it before. I think they need to go get 2 scoring guards, 2 true scoring threats. Whether one is your point guard or not, probably depends on what kind of point guard you can find. If they can find a scoring point guard, I'm sure they'll get one. If not, then they're going to get someone that's serviceable there, and then go get 2 scoring guards to pair with. Yes, Jalen's returning, and then you need some experience inside, she said. So it sounds like they're going to go get a post player. They have Stephanie returning, but has development to do there. If they can figure that out, get her out there. She's a weapon. Jada Kearney, she mentioned, is a 6'6", very athletic, big. Gonna need to develop, but she's there. Mariah Douglas is coming in that class as well as a 6'4" forward, kind of like a Jalen starter kit, but she's gonna need to develop into that. And then you have Natalia Jordan and Melania Jordan as well, and we'll see how much they contribute or not. Natalia Jordan is like a little bit dog DNA, like Danae Fritz kind of player. I think she could grow into. And Melania is the older one, so she could end up being a sleeper. She's coming off an ACL. It took a prep year, so we'll see where she is in her kind of recovery as well. But yeah, I don't think they're going to try to rely too much on the freshmen, which gives me hope. But I do think there's going to be moments where those freshmen are given chances, and they're going to have to go get some people in the portal. The thing about the portal is there is a new date. It used to start March 15th and go to April 15th, so we would already have names that are out there and we could talk about them. It doesn't technically open until the day after the national championship, so April 6th, I believe, and it is only open for 15 days until April 21st. So it'll be a quick process, but people are already announcing that they're planning to enter the portal. There's already rumors about a lot of people out there. I'm not going to sit here and name names until they've said that they're going to enter the portal, and none of them or anyway have been connected to Texas Tech have done that. And when I say have been, I mean people we've recruited. That's the only thing I'll have to go off of until I hear other things. But I'll say that I won't be shocked if someone that we have had on campus for the class of 2020 and recruited out of that class ends up on the team next year. There's about 4 of them that I'm keeping an eye on that I've heard maybe could be portaling. And I think I would say 3 of them at least would make sense. The other one, I mean, they're talented. And all of them are top 100 players. And they were all very close. I mean, Texas Tech was in their top 5-2 schools, some of them. And so if they decided they wanted to transfer, it would make sense that we would still be interested. And perhaps they would be interested in us. I'm not saying I've heard anything there about all of them, but maybe something to keep an eye on. And then there's going to be ones we have never had maybe major contact with, but are just really good players that are being rumored to get in the portal. You heard her talk about NIL. I said it at the beginning. Absolutely. If Texas Tech wants to have a competitive women's basketball program year in and year out, they have to support it more. They have to up the revenue share. It's middle to lower in the conference. It's like you have players in the Big 12 making double what our entire Rev Share budget is. Not our Rev Share plus NIL. That would bump it up a little bit more, but still be less than like Olivia Miles probably. But just our Rev Share budget, Olivia Miles is double that on her own. That's absurd for Texas Tech, who says that we want to be competitive in every sport. There is no world that we should be okay with a major sport on campus being a TV sport, whatever you want to call it, in the bottom half of Rev Share percentage. We don't need to be the top 1 or 2, whatever. I would say at least top half. If you could get us into the top quarter, top third, I'll take top third. Whatever you want to go with, I could live with that for now, and then you earn your way up there farther. But if you truly want to compete year in and year out, even for a Big 12 title, that has to be a bump up. We kind of just hit the jackpot this year on a bunch of diamond in the roughs, money ball players, someone off the couch, and Sonata Collins becomes the sixth player of the year in the Big 12. That's not going to happen every year. You're not going to get that lucky, right? And you're not going to find that combination of players, and you're not going to have that urgency that this group played with, and that hunger and the desire and the work they put in. Everybody on this team got better. I'll hope that happens every year, but it's just a unique group of people that came together and did something really special. If you combine that with really, really, really talented players, then you're going to go win some championships, right? But otherwise, you're banking on them just all overperforming all year long, and that's what happened. And that's just, you're asking a lot of them, and you saw that when you got to LSU. They didn't play a good game, and so it looked really bad. If they had even played good, if they even played their best game, they still lose by 20 to LSU on that night, because LSU was that good that day. But they didn't even play their best game because they were just worn out by then, because they've given everything they had all year. So I'm just saying, if you want Texas Tech to be good, if Texas Tech wants to be known as this school that supports all sports, and people were kind of clowning on the comments that were going around, like, what, I thought Texas Tech had all this money, I thought y'all were doing all this, and now your women's basketball program's saying that y'all don't get money. And I'm like, no, they don't. Like, people have assumed that this turnaround on women's basketball was the same as the turnaround in softball and football and men's basketball and all these. They just assume that we paid for Sonata Collins and that we paid for all these other players on our team, and they just don't even know who they are and their stories. They just assume we went out and got the best transfers on the market. Like, no. She was literally selling cars last year, and she became the Big 12 Sixth Player of the Year, right? Hima Nunez, one of the top point guards in the Big 12 in the country, really, when you go assist to turnover ratio, top 10, came from Campbell University. Like, our starting 5 player is from France and was at a junior college before this. Danae Fritz is on her 3rd Big 12 school. Should have been in a Big 12 defender on the Big 12 defensive team. She wasn't. Vastly underrated. But anyone that plays against her knows she's not. Bailey Maupin. People know who Bailey Maupin is, and they tried to steal her because we don't have the money to keep her, and she stayed anyway. Like, this is a group of people that we could not afford in some ways, and that's all we could afford. And so we got them, and they did what they did. And some of them are still being underpaid. They should have gotten more, and they stayed here, all of them. So I'm just saying, if you do want them to be better, donate if you can, but it's on admin too, because there's caps. There could be donors that want to give money, but they can't if the cap is not high enough. You know what I mean? Like, so they have to just bump it a little bit, a couple of percentage points or 0.2, whatever. I'm not asking for to be in the top 3. Prove me wrong that we can do that as a university. I'd be really stoked. I'm just asking for crumbs here. Can we be in the top 3rd of the Big 12? Bottom half is not acceptable for any of our major sports. If baseball's in the bottom half, I disagree with that as well. This is not a women's sports thing. I don't think baseball should be in the bottom half of RevShare either if they are. I don't know if they are, but they shouldn't be. Softball should not be as well. Like, go down those sports, what they call TV sports, broadcast sports, none of them at Texas Tech should be in the bottom half of RevShare. You have to figure out a way to make that work. Or RevShare plus NIL. If they can get creative, I'm fine with that. Above my pay grade. If they know how to get creative and make it work, and you can just do straight NIL deals, still great. Sure, do it. That's probably how most of softball is happening. But if that's still possible on the women's basketball side, great. But I think there are donors that seem like they're very eager to help this team out, but they need to be allowed to help them out, is my concern at this point. But I think they'll be there, and now it's a matter of closing the deal and allowing them to do that. So portal season could be fun. Maybe y'all will be paying attention more. It was a lot of fun last year. I'm not gonna lie. I had fun. Because we were getting all of our little portal diamonds and stuff, and they were finding their, our team, Jared Boyd, Eric DeRue, the whole staff. I mean, they were doing their big one analytically and finding the right pieces. And they still need to do that, but they should be able to pick from the tier A and B instead of maybe some more obscure names like they had to this year. But still, I'm still very much in the fit over the flash, dogs over diva camp. Now, if you can find a dog that's also a little flashy, hello, Flau'jae Johnson, then sign me up.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to kind of see how we're going to construct our roster, especially with revenue sharing and just what the new NIL landscape is going to honestly look like. But I mean, there's even situations right now where, I mean, there was a very well chance if it wasn't for overtime last night that no Big 12 team advanced to the Sweet 16, and TCU has talent in Olivia Miles. So it's like you can even get, one star player or whatever it
You
is,
need
but
more
that
than
doesn't.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to need more than one, and it doesn't necessarily guarantee success. I mean, there's a reason why all five of those teams have been in the top corner, but that's at least a good start, right? Like TCU's still winning the conference title. That's something we still haven't been able to do yet. Like, and they very much can, depending on their draw and whatever, get to where
Yeah.
they want to be with Elite Eights and what Final Fours and things like that. But yeah, it's just really going to honestly come down to as to how much resources we want to put into this program, and we know that other schools have done it and it can be successful right off the bat. So yeah, I definitely think that we'll get to choose from the top part of the barrel and just kind of see, who's going to be able to fit in well with us and who's going to be able to kind of help keep this new standard and help us get deeper into the tournament. But it's just going to take a lot of support and a lot of resources and a lot of needs. I mean, it sounds like that going after veterans in pretty much every position, that's something that I am happy to hear about just because it's going to help a lot with helping our freshmen grow into who we want them to become. And then you get those cool 4 year stories, in 4 to 5 years, as Bailey says, winning the national title. Well, we can maybe have some catalysts in that and these veteran guards and wings and, centers, whatever we may have to go after. So I think it'll be super exciting to kind of sit back and see. But yes, we really need the support there because, I mean, it really can. 1 to 2, maybe even 3 star players in the portal can make a huge difference and can get you deeper into the tournament and not leave you, you know, going home after the first weekend of March Madness and trophy lists under your
Yeah.
conference.
I'll just like close that thought with someone asked me, like, what would women's basketball need to do like what softball did, where softball kind of just went out and spent more money than anyone had ever collectively perhaps spent outside of maybe OU, but they just pretend like they don't. But maybe we spent more in softball than anybody did. It's possible to turn around our program so quickly. You definitely spent $1 million on one player, but then even this year, there's a lot of other players getting paid as well, quite a bit of money. What would the equivalent of that be in women's basketball? It's more than you need in softball. But what I'm just going to tell you right now is it's not as much as you'd think. Or maybe it is. I don't know. But you could, if you gave the women's basketball team what you gave JT Toppin individually, that would be a Final Four team, probably. If they all came together, talking Final Four talent, and you could get that. If you got $5 million for sure, you could. Because from what I understand, a top echelon player on the women's basketball side, for the most part, 800K. So say you get 800K players, that's 4 million,
Mhm.
right? And then you need some role players or whatever mixed in. So that gets you to 5 million. Just give them 4 million and I'd take 800K players. You know what I mean? But they're not asking for 4 million. But if you're really asking if we actually wanted to pay for a championship in women's basketball, what it would take, that's what it would take. That's what LSU did, but that was back when NIL wasn't as crazy. So they probably spent $1 million back when Mulkey first took over and that was first allowed. She was hot to it, and that's how LSU became what they were so quickly. And now they're just getting players through recruiting as well, and it's all built in. You have to kind of start that momentum somewhere, and we started it with this group, but we don't have the money to really just like go make a huge splash or two that I know of, although I've heard some murmurs, so I'm really hoping that comes true, but we'll see. But if you really want to help, that's what it would take. And then they have to be allowed to do that too, through the Rev Share and the legalities of it. I don't know. They don't need 4 million, but if you want to jump all the way ahead, sure. Give this team 1.5 million. That would be a lot more than they're getting right now. That's all I'm going to say. I think they're going to have more this year on the donor side, but they need the Rev Share thing to go up. So I'll stop. But if you want to donate, do it. But you also need to be allowed to donate. It's the latter part that concerns me. But I'm hoping that's going to maybe being fixed somehow. We'll find out. So, yeah, any other thoughts on that before we wrap it up with softball, men's basketball? What happens there? Some highs, some lows.
Yeah, just I'm excited to see. I'm ready for portal season, ready to go portal shopping. And yeah, thank you to the 9
Tyler's
seniors
always
that
ready to go
laid the
portal shopping
foundation, but now we're ready to get back to work and
for
getting
sure.
further than the first weekend. That's the goal.
I will never forget the moment that Bailey Maupin came out, handed the little plaque to Danae Fritz, and she slapped it on the bracket, and then Adley did that little dance, and we caught it on video. But I mean,
Yes.
ingrained in my brain for life. So I thank those seniors for that. I hope it's ingrained in their brain for life because they did that. They got there and they won a game as well. A lot of people just was like, just get to the damn tournament, please. It's been 13 years. They didn't just do that. They won a game. Both of those monkeys are off this program's back. Next year's team doesn't have to do the first since. They're just going to be expected to make the tournament and keep it going. Which there is pressure to that, but that's pressure is a privilege at that point. Because trust me, you do not want to be in the position that this ask Bailey Maupin
Oh yeah.
how not fun it is to be asked when the hell are you going to make the tournament every year. It's way more fun to be expected to make the tournament. I guarantee it. So she did that for you. Now they better go carry the baton further, or you're just disrespecting the legacy that is Bailey Maupin. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right, I'm gonna stop. All right, men's basketball. Listen, I didn't watch it. I was driving back from Baton Rouge and checking the score. It doesn't sound like it went well. Sounds like we dared them to shoot threes, and Alabama said bet, and they made 19 of them. The men's basketball team, the season just needed to end. They needed to restructure the roster a little bit. Obviously, losing JT Toppin, an All-American, is tough to overcome, but I just don't think it ever really meshed defensively, and you have a defensive-minded coach, and so it was just like a lot of butting of scheme concepts and players, and not John. I think they were pretty tight from everything. All I can go off is what they say. Very close-knit group and all that kind of stuff, and they love basketball and they wanted to be good. And they were at times. They had they probably had the biggest wins of any team in the country when they were fully healthy or mostly healthy. They just couldn't put it together after that and kind of ran out of steam, and teams kind of figured them out post JT, I think, got some tape on them. But they did win a game, so they won a game in the tournament so they have a nice little streak going there, and just got murdered by Bama 90-65 in the second round. Probably would have been an absolute shit show against Michigan, so at least you avoided that in the next round. But yeah, just physicality wise, they were when they weren't making the threes, it sounds like they were just rebounding and getting easy buckets. Like, it just didn't sound like it was going well. Did you get to watch it?
Yes, I did
Or
get
did
to
you
watch
have to
it.
watch it?
Yeah, I kind of painfully watched it. It just, yeah, I mean, I felt like right off from the jump, our energy wasn't necessarily there
That's
either.
what
I
I
just felt
heard.
like we
Yeah.
just kind of came off, just kind of, I don't know, just felt like unprepared. And even Grant said that, and he apologized for that. But even with that, I mean, I would assume that they were, in a sense, prepared. I just think that it was just, I don't know, Alabama just came out guns a-blazing, and we really didn't have answers. The rebounding was a huge issue. I mean, I think Alabama had one possession where they got like 5 rebounds back to back offensively, and it just
Sounds
was,
familiar.
yeah, it was pretty rough. But yeah, I agree. I think that this team did incredible things. I mean, they beat 1, 2, 4, and 5, I believe, something like that. I mean, they did
Yeah,
some
it
great
was
things in the
several
season when
games.
they were at their best, but I think there was, that moment where sometimes maybe it didn't mesh or some things didn't work out well. Similar to kind of what we just talked about, right? Like, even if you do get all 5 of the stars, like right now with women's basketball, we don't really know
It
who
doesn't
your
always
leaders
work.
were. Yeah, and that was kind of the issue
Yeah.
all year. Who were our leaders on the men's basketball team? We'd like to think that it was
Yes.
JT and Christian Anderson, but once JT went down, you're putting all that on a sophomore, right, to do that. So, I mean, I think that the season was great. I mean, it's still a privilege that they made it to the second round and that they had such a great season. All these Tech fans are like,
Some
I'm
people
glad
are
this one
spoiled.
person. Yeah, I'm glad this
Yeah.
one person tweeted about yeah, why are y'all saying that it's been a rough 3 months when literally like the women made it to the tournament for the first time since 2013, won a game since 2005. The men beat 1, 2, 4, and 5, and they still made it to the second round with our best player injured, and football still made it to the college football playoff. I mean, like,
Won the
these
Big
are all
12.
privileges. I know, won the Big 12. I mean,
We
these are
could be
like
Utah
amazing
right
things.
now. What are they doing in anything?
Yeah, literally nothing. Like
Gymnastics, maybe? I don't.
yeah, give
Shouts to
them that.
them. But
Give them that. And we still got softball and baseball looks like they're up and coming. I mean, like, we are very privileged as Texas Tech
golden
fans. And I
age.
understand that our moment or that our fans' mindset right now is like, oh, we want more. We want to go for the
Fair.
championships now. We want the next level. And that's all fair. But, like, I mean, I don't know what else you expected this men's team to do when they had to battle adversity. And, I mean, when Bama's making 3-pointers like that, I mean, was insane. I mean, there's just not much you can really do at that point other than just try to play your basketball and try to get back. But we just never
Yeah.
really had a chance to really dig back into that game. So
Yeah.
it,
They had their moments this year when they were at their best. They were one of the best teams in the country because you paid for 2 All-Americans. Like they were one of the highest. I mean, spent like over 11 million or something their roster was. So you should have been good. But I agree, and the leadership was never really there, even when JT and Christian were healthy. It sounds like JT was the big leader and he wasn't super vocal. But I wrote an article about that before the season started. And that was my one concern I had in there because Lawan Watts said in the first player media availability that he was working on being more vocal in practice because he had never been a leader before and they needed leaders on this team. And I made a mental note of that and I put it in their article and I said, I don't know what that means, but it is something to watch because shouldn't JT and Christian be the leaders of the team, not a new person? And he's saying he needs to speak up. That concerned me from day dot, and it was a concern all year for me. I don't think they had that Christian, like McMillie out there that was speaking up in the huddles. I think Donovan Atwell kind of became that as the season went on, and that guy, I mean, legend. But they need, I think, just those are things you can't necessarily tell when they went so analytic with their portal picks last year. And that maybe they'll do a little more sussing out of that leadership dog factor with the next class instead of just picking the best analytical fits and hoping that the computers can listen. I love analytics, but there's two things. You got to still make sure the fit dogs over divas. Men can be divas too. I'm not saying they were, but I'm just saying you need dogs and you need fit over flash and all those things. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But when they did fit together, it worked. But it just wasn't consistent. Like, they had the talent. That's the difference. The women always kind of fit together. Man, they had the flow. They had the chemistry. It was great. They just didn't always have the top-end talent to compete. But the chemistry and the dog factor was there. The men's team didn't always have the chemistry and the dog factor, but they had the talent. It just goes to show you have to, those pieces have to fit together, or it doesn't work. So I'm interested to see who they keep around, who they don't. Busy portal season for both teams. The Womble will be busy, is my prediction.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't worry. They still have money on that side of the Womble. We don't need to do a pitch for them. They're going to be all right. I promise you guys. They will reload.
They will. I'm also interested to see, you know, like what's going to happen with some of the players, like, you know, as far as like what is Christian's future going to look like? Does he go to the draft? Does he stay? Does JT probably stay? I mean, there's just a lot of questions. Yeah, you would think. So I think it'll be interesting to see how we build around that too, especially if one of them ends up leaving or both. Then you really got to dig deep.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting because I mean, I think I would bank on Christian not being here. I hope that's just because he goes to the draft. I mean, there's a lot of rumors out there, but our fans are whatever, what is true or not. But I think he wants to play pro, and so I think he's like kind of ready to do it. And so if he gets that opportunity, I think he's going to take it. We'll see. And then JT, he tore his ACL pretty late in the year, so it's like when would he actually be available? Like December.
Right.
So would they rush him back? And you're gonna have to pay him a lot of money probably, and that's a big part of your budget. Do you want to do that? And then not even know if he's gonna play. Like, it's running a pro team at this point, and those things have to be talked about, and it is going to be interesting. And then I think maybe if there are some players that do have eligibility left, their money salaries their contracts may be renegotiated if they want to stay to make a little less money because of their performances. And if they don't want to agree to that, then they'll leave. That's kind of where I'm at with some of these players. Is like, you can stay, but like what I heard you were making, probably not. We need to spend that on some other people. Personal opinion, but I'm not a coach or a GM, so we'll see what happens. It's their team, and Grant McCaslin we trust always. I think he's going to go get his dudes this year. I don't think he's going to mess around. I think we're going to have a Grant McCaslin-led team, not a computer-led team this year.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Dogs over data. I like data, though.
Yeah.
But I think the men's team maybe fell a little too in love with it. You got to have the mix. But anyway, another team on campus, like I was saying, that does spend money and has plenty of money is the softball team, to be frank. They got dogs on their team, great talent everywhere, and they're using it to their ability. They're showing that. They're flexing the muscle. They go on the road to UCF and sweep a top 25 UCF team. So much respect for UCF. They're still ranked, at least in Softball America, after getting swept by Texas Tech and run ruled twice. in those. They did kind of hang around in the first game for sure, and then in the second game a little bit, and then what I saw, Texas Tech blew it open late, and then the third game we kind of controlled till the end, and they got like a cheap home run or something in the final inning. It looked like. These games fell in the middle of both the Friday game, women's basketball right before it, and then right before the one on Sunday, so I didn't watch those, and then the one on Saturday was like right in the middle of the pregame presser, so I didn't get to watch any of them. I just kind of followed stats and stuff. So Tyler, what did you see? I heard maybe Sam looked really good in the Sunday game. That was my favorite takeaway. And fun facts, your fun stat is we didn't walk a single batter all weekend long. Our pitching staff.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, this weekend I thought was a statement. And I think that when you look at it, earlier in the week we had, or people were creating drama because of weather delays on the East Coast. We weren't able to get.
Oh my God, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, I know. People forgot,
Yeah.
or people were just like, oh, you're scared to play Florida State. We didn't get to play them. We didn't get to play Stetson either. Everybody was all upset, and everybody was like, oh, Tech's just afraid to play them. And it's like, at the end of the day, why would Tech be afraid to play them when we know that our conference is not strong and we need games to boost our RPI rating and to get a nice, top 8 hosting spot, once we get to the Women's College World Series, the tournament like that? Like, why would we say no to that? So I thought that was just a dumb argument to be made. Clearly, we came out, though, with something to prove this weekend by sweeping UCF. They're a really good team. They tried to hang in there, especially in game 1. But I really liked our resiliency in this, and I think that players that needed to step up absolutely stepped up in this. You said Mia Williams was going to have a big series this week. In that game, we were tied 2-2. Mia Williams gets a solo shot. Right after that, Jackie List, because they were trying to walk some of our top batters like the entire time during that game. Then when Jackie List comes up to the plate, boom, hits a home run. I mean, now we're at 4-2. They did let up another run in that, but then we ended up coming through at the end. Nyjah, in 7 innings pitched, she had 6 hits, 3 earned runs, and 8 strikeouts with that. I'm not quite sure. I mean, I think Nyjah's obviously not at 100% yet, and there have been a lot of games where she has given up more hits or more, runs and things like that. But at the same time, I just feel like that I'm not super concerned. I think that
I think she's earned that trust, so like I just trust that she'll figure it out. And even if she doesn't, we have Caitlin Terry, and Caitlin Terry and Nyjah would be a deadly combo. Even this version of Nyjah in the postseason, they could just do back and forth every inning for all I care. Like, we'll figure it out. But I think we've seen the best of Nyjah at times, and she just maybe has to get towards the consistency of it. So
well, and it sounds like that obviously they're still trying some things, they're testing things out, they're trying to get her ready for postseason play, right? With a lot of things. I mean, Danielle Lowry, who played at Washington, she did a whole breakdown and just the adjustments that we made. Because remember, whenever that first game was not great for Nyjah against Arizona, that third game, I mean, you should see the percentage differentials between like how much she used her changeup, like when she used the screwball, when she was trying to like pull the batter out of the zone or out of the box, and then trying to pull them in. I mean, the staff obviously can make the adjustments. So I'm not super concerned about that. I know that there were some fans that were super concerned about it, but no. I mean, that's also why we got All-Americans to come on our offense and do their job. Why we had some of the nation's leading home run hitters. Jazzy Burns had a huge homer in this. So clearly game one, we really kind of set the tone, and then UCF just kind of struggled from there. We go into game 2. Caitlin Terry, absolutely killed it. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 earned runs, 5 strikeouts in this. This game was absolutely insane. We had to kind of play small ball. There was no home runs in this game, but Des Spearman had a double. Jazzy Burns had a double. Mia Williams, as you said, showing out in her home state, had a double in this. Caitlin Terry went 1 for 3 and had 3 RBI in this. And then Maya Davis went 2 for 3 and had a walk in that as well. Game 2 was just dominated. We just really kind of took over. That was kind of like the statement we made. And then we go into game 3, and this one was incredible. Sam Lincoln, in 7 innings pitched, had 5 hits, 0 earned runs, and 7 strikeouts. Go Sam Lincoln. When we talk about day 3 threat, she's a day 3 threat. Jackie List, I mean, it was her weekend. 2 for 3, had 3 RBI. Caitlin Terry, they walked her 4 times. Each time she went up to bat, they walked Caitlin Terry. They were that scared of her. They said, damn, we're just gonna walk her. So yeah, Caitlin Terry had 4 walks, and then Lauren Allred had a big RBI, and they also walked Lauren Allred 2 times as well. And then Haley had 2 stolen bases in this, and Lauren had 1. So Game 3 was my favorite game, honestly. I got to
Yeah.
watch some of it, while we were watching, women's basketball and all that unfold. But watching softball, that was some joy that I was able to see on my phone. Like,
But
just insane.
I heard seeing Scarlett got a few shout outs in that. So thank you, Eric Lopez, that calls her games. And
Yeah,
knowing from
shout out
doing
to
it as
Eric.
well. So he was giving me shouts. But I was giving him some sort. So I don't know what he said about us because I haven't rewatched it. He was asking me for the game before the game for some fun facts about Sam Lincoln. So I was giving him some fun facts. Hopefully he shared those on the broadcast. You're welcome, Sam. I was making you sound good. But yeah, I'm excited that Sam had a good game. I know they gave up 2 runs, but I guess there was an error before that happened, so they were unearned. That's good. Make her ERA look a little bit better. But the walks cracked me up. It sounded like to me that, sometimes these pitchers just won't throw us strikes and they're just hoping we swing. And in this game, we were like, no. And KT was like, I'm not going to swing unless you make me. And that's why her batting average is like 560. If you throw it over the plate, she's going to find a way to get it into the outfield, right? Or over the fence a few times. Like, if you don't, she's very patient and it's not trying to be a hero. She'll just trot on over the first base and let the next person do it. Like, she's not concerned. She's just so fun to watch. Player of the year in the Big 12 right now, for sure. And a player of the year nationally candidate right now.
Oh, 100%. I'm
It's
excited to see
wild.
her WAR rating potentially go up too. Because right now she's at
Yep.
number 3. She can definitely get to number 1.
And you were talking about all those analytics earlier that Daniel Laurie was doing for Nyjah and the war and all that. I would just like to say that that's also part of the reason that it's so hard to pitch now is because those analytics have become so prevalent and so accessible. That didn't used to be a thing in softball. Like, you didn't used to be able to pull up after the game everybody and see exactly where Nyjah pitched every pitch and exactly when she pitched each pitch and when she likes to go up and in against the lefties. Like, if she has access to that, I guarantee you other teams do.
Oh yeah,
And so
100%.
it's the scouting that has gotten so, it's become like baseball, it's become like basketball and football. Like, the scouting is so next level now that it doesn't matter how good Nyjah is if they know where the pitch is coming. So I think that could be a little bit of it too, is they have so much tape on Nyjah at this point in her career that she's kind of battling herself in that way. But you also should have tape on the pitchers you're facing as well. So that's why there's been a lot of high-scoring games in softball between the tiny strike zones the umps are doing, the analytics, making it a lot easier for hitters to go out there and being prepared, and then just hitters being ridiculous. But yeah, Nyjah's still obviously a really good pitcher, so I'm always happy to turn on a game and have Nyjah Kennedy pitching, which will be happening the night of maybe it's while you're watching this. I don't know when this is going to release. At some point on Tuesday, they're playing Tarleton in Stephenville. It's a game that got rescheduled from a few weeks ago, and it was going to be sold out at that point. I haven't checked the weather or anything. Hopefully they're getting to play it this week. I don't know that Nyjah or anybody's starting in that game. Maybe Sam will get another go, but we'll see who gets to pitch in that on the road. And then they'll be back in Lubbock to face Iowa State, I believe, correct? For a weekend series with the Cyclones. Usually a pretty good team. I know they lost some players in the portal, but they were kind of a young team last year that got it going late in the year, and I don't know how they've been doing this year, but they lost their second baseman to Arizona. They gave us fits in the Arizona series, Trice, but they had some good players last year, and they probably got gypped of making the tournament as well. So
Yeah. Let's see. It looks like Iowa State they are 19-10 right now. They are on a 4-game win streak. Any big
they beat Houston.
wins? Let's see. They
I think
did.
pitching is just their issue, and that was going to be their question mark coming in, is they could find any pitching in the portal, and I don't know if they got anything spectacular there, but they can usually hit the ball. They're playing Drake on Wednesday. Nice.
They did sweep Houston. They played Baylor really close in the last 2 games. So yeah, they're kind of hanging in there with they're kind of hanging in there.
They beat Minnesota 3-0. So they have
They did. Those Big Ten teams that
Big
sneak
10.
in there for no reason.
Yeah. So yeah, they're usually a pretty good team. They've beaten Michigan or Minnesota twice this year because they beat them early in the year. They did lose to Wisconsin in a barn burner 11-8. But anyway, yeah, they're usually a pretty scrappy team. Good program. I'm glad they're playing in Lubbock because playing in Ames is always an adventure with the wind and the craziness. If you think we have wind, it's like always like swirling in Ames
Oh
and
my
weird
God,
things
there's
happen. Like
always some weird
OU,
weather.
like I think that might have been like OU's only loss one year when they was that their one loss that year that they went undefeated except for one loss. They OU would like win every game in the Big 12 and then lose in one game in Ames every year. Never failed.
Yeah, that looks like their pit. Yeah, okay, you were right about their pitching. Their pitcher's best ERA is a 3.08, and then everybody else
Yeah.
has like a 4, 4.42, 6.45,
It's not.
3.82. Their batting also, they don't really have anybody. They definitely don't have anybody that's hitting at Caitlin Terry level. Their best player, Reagan Bartholomew, is hitting at
Who does?
444. Then their next one's 381, then 354, then
But
351,
they
and then it just kind of goes down from
Yeah,
there.
but they're fourth overall in the Big 12 in batting average for reference, and they are eighth out of 11 in pitching. So definitely, if they're gonna win, they need to score runs. But get there early. It's my suggestion for each of these games because I don't know how long they're gonna go. But you're gonna have to take
I
care of
would agree.
business.
Yes.
Can't sleep on them. They've scrapped with Baylor, coming in feeling good about themselves, beating Houston. So get their 6 o'clock start, I assume, on Friday, and then
Yes.
same kind of schedule throughout the
2
weekend. I
p.m.
haven't checked the weather,
Saturday
but
and noon on Sunday. It looks like it'll be kind of chilly, so bring a
oh,
jacket.
ooh, beautiful weather. 67 on
Yes.
Saturdays. I will be freezing because I'm a wimp. Sunday, high of 80, sunny, beautiful weather. Be there. I'll be there for at least 2 of those. I might miss one game, but I'll be there for at least 2 of those. Maybe all 3. We'll see.
And I don't think baseball's competing this weekend, like at home. I think they are away, so we finally will get our own little weekend and
Packed
don't have to
house gets
steal
fine
fans. I
parking.
know.
Yeah, there's already good crowds, but geez, it's gonna be packed out there. All right, cool. Yeah, and there's not a lot of home games left. We're getting into. I mean, you get to May, you got one more month until you're into postseason softball.
Crazy. And then
Wild.
after next weekend, after Easter weekend, we have like a whole month off until we play until April 28th against Tarleton's rescheduled game. So it'll be a while. Or April 20th, I think.
Oh,
So
they're just on the road for like 2 weeks
yeah,
or 3
2 or
weeks.
3, 4 weeks, however long a month
Oh,
is.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
I could use that though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. No, same. Looking forward to that.
All right, bet. I was thinking, all right, maybe I'll go to all 3 games this weekend then. I didn't realize that. All right, all right, cool. We'll go to softball. Celebrate women's basketball and men's basketball. They did what they could through an adverse season, but quiet all the haters and tell them to shut up and they don't know what they're talking about. If they're hating on the Lady Raiders losing to LSU, they just don't know the context. Like whatever. Big things ahead. We'll be here to cover all the portal madness on both sides as we hear it. Definitely on the women's basketball side. This is the place to get that. It's the only place that you can get that. So follow, like, subscribe, share with your friends, and till next time. Wreck 'em.
Wreck 'em.